So we're going to focus a little bit on the idea of patience today, working with that idea of patience, being patient in our practice, patient with the whole, not just idea of yoga, but patient as we move into this month, right? It's going to be busy, and tapping into that patience will help us. So we're going to focus on that a little bit as we work through our moves today. And let's begin, we're not going to begin standing today, let's begin in seated. So find a comfortable seat and maybe up on a soft cushion or a little prop for your hips just to bring you up over your hip points. And close your eyes, feel your body seated here and observe your posture. Notice how your natural seated position is without judgment, just noticing. And do you have a tendency to maybe lean forward? See if maybe you can bring your head over your heart over your pelvis, and maybe roll your shoulders up and just down slightly, softening in the shoulders and drawing those shoulder blades down the back. And notice if your head is jutting forward, can you draw your ears over your shoulders here? I've been consciously trying to notice my posture in the day and where my head is over my shoulders, as our generation is getting used to having our head forward a lot on computers and devices. So I'll remind you as well as I remind myself. And again, noticing our breath. So feeling the breath enter the body now, noticing as it comes in through the nose. And as you exhale, is it feeling more centered in your chest? Let's see if we can deepen the breath into the belly. And let's do a few rounds of counted breath work just to kind of tap into that breath resource. So with me now, take an inhale and an exhale, let it go. Just some simple breath work, counted breath work. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Moving to 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Moving to 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last round. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let it go. And as we lengthen those inhales and holds and exhales, you can definitely feel it's a little more challenged to expand and hold the breath. But maybe noticing now that it has allowed your breath to deepen and soften. While your eyes are closed, just read this quote. Patience is not the ability to wait. Patience is to be calm no matter what happens. Constantly take action to turn it to positive growth opportunities and have faith to believe that it will all work out in the end while you are waiting. So we often think patience is that notion of waiting. More so how we can stay with the present moment, be calm while we're waiting. And from here now, on your seat, we're going to move around the spine a little bit, warm up the spine energy before our yin postures. So let's take some Sufi grinds. Place your hands on your knees if that's comfortable, and begin to draw your torso forward on the inhale, moving in one direction. It doesn't matter, just take one direction and move with it. Inhaling as you come forward, exhale back. Nice deep breaths as you're moving. So we store a lot of energy in the pelvic area, and in Kundalini, there's this storehouse of energy in the navel point, which is not our navel, but it's below the navel, and this helps draw energy up and move that energy. And let's take it in the other direction. Imagine your spine like a big wooden spoon in a pot, scraping that inside of the pot. Close your eyes and see your spine moving in space here. Nice. Come back to center, close your eyes, just feel the warmth in your spine. We're going to do one more move and then we'll shift into our first yin posture. So here I would like you to extend. We're going to do some breath work in cat-cows. Extend your chest forward, inhale, and exhale as you dome your spine back. I'm going to turn to the side. Inhaling forward, exhale back. So some seated cat-cows, and we'll pick up the pace. Inhale, exhale. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Feel the spine moving. Inhale, exhale. Close your eyes, see your spine again moving in space. Notice the energy building. Just a few more rounds, warming up the body a little bit. Getting a nice stretch for the spine, and come to center. Just come to center and notice. A little smile on your face. Notice any energy that's moving around in your body. Awesome. Our first yin pose. Now come to hands and knees. We're going to set up for puppy pose. And option to use cross here. So I find puppy pose quite challenging. It's a deep, deep stretch for me in the area of the shoulders. But we are going to focus on some heart opening poses today with that notion of patience in mind. So I'm placing a bolster where my chest rib cage will be. So coming into our tabletop, roughly our knees are below our hips, and then we allow our arms to sink down on the mat, stretching forward and feeling our chest meet the bolster, arms extending long, and you can either have your palms flat on the mat, or if you like, you can draw your hands together in prayer, bend your elbows, and allow for a deeper stretch down through the triceps with prayer hands. So choose your option here in puppy posture. You may want to support your head with a block. Lots of options for support. And we will begin our time. This is a very intense yin posture. We know that some postures are more yin-like, and some are more yang. And this is one of the more yang postures. We feel a lot of intensity as we're holding. It requires more energy from our bodies to be in the posture. So we won't hold it too long. See if you can notice that positive stress, strain, the engagement through the arms, the line of the underarm all through into the chest area. And now come back to your breath as you're holding. Notice the breath, feel it go deep into your low belly. Use the breath to help anchor you in this more intense posture. Breath is here to hold you and anchor you. So breathe. Feel the breath enter, move into your rib cage, your low belly. Feel it expand into your low back. Doing great. We have less than a minute left here. And on your next inhale, fill up that belly with air. Exhale. Begin to draw your arms closer to your body, bending your elbows, allowing those forearms to meet the mat, and help draw your body back up to tabletop. And just come and sit back on your heels if that's comfortable for your knees, or you can stay in a high kneeling, just feeling the shift after that posture. Notice any warmth around the arms, the limbs. Nice. Our next pose is caterpillar. And I'm going to offer some options of caterpillar as well. So first, with caterpillar, we're going to be noticing stress through the backs of the legs and also all the way up the spine. Option to bring a rolled blanket under your knees to help support your legs so that there's not so much stress and strain in the backs of the legs, and you can feel it more in the low back. So that's the first option here. And just come with your legs long in staff pose and have your props close by. Feet are soft, there's no need to flex feet, soft face, and begin to walk your fingertips down along the mat, coming to your first edge. And then when you find that edge, option to reach for some props to support your head, maybe a couple of blocks to support that head so that there's not too much strain in your neck. And then maybe flipping your palms up as a reminder to stay soft in the pose. We're going to hold caterpillar for longer. As you know, I quite enjoy holding caterpillar for a bit longer than the other poses because it's really noticeable when we come out of the posture, how impactful it is.
So if you moved into a deep edge on the posture, you may want to remind yourself to back out slightly. Find that first edge of resistance and just meet it. You can always go deeper in the poses, right? And that's not what we're here for. We're here to improve, not to prove. So give yourself that grace to be in a place where it will be beneficial over a longer period of time. And as we move into longer holds like this, our minds really start to play with us, right? I was doing some Yin Yoga on the weekend, and my 12-year-old said, "Mom, do you ever find that boring?"
And I said to her, well, that's part of the yoga practice, hon. It's not just that we're doing these stretches that are really beneficial for our bodies. It's also that we help work on that notion of patience. I said it helps us be more patient to hold poses like this and to know that when we're in other times of stress in our lives, maybe waiting a long time in a lineup at a store this time of year, waiting in the car, that we can tap into those reserves of patience and know that we've exercised those before.
And once you've met that edge that is comfortably sustainable, knowing that it's important that we find that stillness in the posture. Unless, of course, you're feeling any pain, then you back out or take a different posture altogether. Notice here if you're beginning to hold tension anywhere else. Allow those fingertips to be really soft, much like Shavasana. Let them be soft and just curl in. Allow the feet to be floppy. You're doing great. We're already over halfway through. Feel the breath. Be with the breath. If it helps, take a soft gaze down at your tummy and see the breath moving in and out. Just looking at that motion of your belly moving. And for the last minute of the posture, we're going to take just a slight shift with our head. So if you're using any props under your head, just remove them for now, put them aside, stay in the posture, And begin to drift your nose over the left leg. Just maybe a centimeter or two. Such a small movement, allowing the head to just drift over slightly. And noticing how much that changes the stress in areas, how much you might feel that from such a small movement. And now drift the nose back over center, and this time over the left leg or knee. Again, a centimeter or two maybe. Noticing where you're feeling that in the low back, in the neck, maybe mid-back, shoulders. And come back over center. Take a big inhale now. Fill up low belly, low back. Exhale. Flip your palms down on the mat and come very slowly. We're going to move slower than we normally move out of caterpillar. So shifting hands back very slowly, one at a time. Spine moving out of this posture, one vertebrae at a time. Really slow. It's not a race. In fact, it's a race to see who comes up last. How about that? Really slow. Head comes up last. Yeah, wow, right? You guys feeling that? So just stay with head over heart, heart over pelvis, and allow that energy to move through the spine. You may feel tingling. You may feel like a rush of blood. It's the prana, the fluids, the blood moving through the spine, through the body. So we were in caterpillar for over 6 minutes. Another breath or two here. Give the chin tissues a moment to just recalibrate here. Okay, and we're going to shift down onto the mat now. For another chest opener, we opened the front of the chest in puppy. We opened the back of the heart there with our caterpillar. We're going to do another chest opener coming into broken wing pose, which I really want to find a new name for. I do not love that name. So shift down onto your bellies, long legs onto the mat. Place your right ear or right cheek on the mat, looking to the left. Make your way down softly onto the mat, taking our time. And looking to the left, bring your arms out to a T at shoulder height, palms facing down. Just feel your body in space here. Feel what's going on in your shoulders. Maybe you're really enjoying being down on the mat, feeling the breath as you breathe against the mat. And now bend the left elbow, bring that left hand close to the face. Begin to push into the left hand and roll onto the right side of the body, bending that left knee and bringing the left foot behind the right, like a little kickstand to hold you. And with your left foot and your left hand, use that as your leverage to find that optimal edge in the pose here. So if it's a lot of strain, stress on the right shoulder, if it's too much, bring that right knee back down. You may only need to have the left hand just kind of giving a gentle push without bringing the knee up. Play around with where you want to be, and then we'll begin our time. We will not be holding this one for 6 minutes.
Rest assured. So I'm keeping a softer knee position here because this shoulder is more sensitive for me, my right shoulder. So I'm observing that and just bending the left elbow and allowing that amount of pressure on the front of the shoulder. Breathe here into that right lung, feeling it expand and open close to the mat. Lots of breath into the front body. And noticing if you're clenching here. Any posture where it might be a little more uncomfortable, we can unknowingly just tensen the hand or the face. See if that's happening and soften. Enjoy that feeling of the breath being soft here, feeling the rib cage expanding against the mat. Just those small, subtle things that we can take for granted in the day when we're just not in tune with what's going on with our body, which is completely normal. But in these moments, we can really be with it. So enjoy it. And take an inhale. Your next inhale, make it nice and full. Fill up now in that right rib cage, feeling it nice and full in the low belly. And exhale and begin to roll back down towards the mat. Arms long at shoulder height again in a T. We're still looking to the left. Allow the energy to shift through here. And before we go to the other side, we're going to take Sphinx in the middle. So lifting up the chest, planting the forearms on the mat. Forearms are like train tracks here, parallel. Elbows are under the shoulders or slightly ahead of the shoulders, maybe an inch or two. And once you find your position in Sphinx, the timer is on. And now let's just bring our attention to that spine as we're holding. Bring your mind's eye to your spine and feel it lengthen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Lengthen. Imagine there's a cord at your crown, pulling your crown long towards that top corner of your room. So not up to the ceiling, but long on a diagonal. And your chin comes towards the back of your head just slightly, drawing your chin back, feeling lots of engagement in our spine here. We're strengthening our spine in this extension, which we really, really need with how we live. We're almost there, 30 seconds left. You're doing great. Breathe into it. Patience, staying calm with the more challenging posture. And on your next inhale, make it nice and juicy. Pull up deep. And then on your exhale, you can come down now and turn your head to look to the right. I'm changing directions on my mat so I'm not talking to the wall. You guys stay where you are, and then bring your arms out to a T again at shoulder height, looking to the right. Giving ourselves a moment. And now bending that right elbow, right hand is close to the face, and again beginning to push into the right hand and roll onto the left side. And then maybe bending that right knee, planting the right foot behind the left knee for support. But again, kind of playing with where you are in the position. So maybe rocking towards the floor again, seeing if that is more optimal for you. And if it is, allowing your knee to come down and be softer. Shoulder injuries and discomforts are not to be ignored. It's interesting, as I'm now in my 50s, it's like all of these little things crop up. I remember being in my 20s and hearing about people with shoulder injuries in yoga and in exercise classes and thinking, what are they doing? What are they doing to have all these injuries? And now I understand it. It's a lot of repetitive movements sometimes too. So for me, it's not any big injury, just repetitive movements throughout the day, doing the same things over and over, how we work, how we live. But of course, yin is so healing and beneficial to those joints. And it actually helps build hyaluronic acid in our joints and in our tissues. And wrapping up this posture now, taking a very nice big inhale, feeling that fill up against the mat on the side body, fill up in the front of the belly, the low back. And then roll back to center, allowing the body to come back to the mat, arms long again. We're still looking to the right. Just noticing the change of energy. And now lift your head and begin to roll onto your backs. And if you have a bolster handy, yes, we're very happy to get on our backs now. If you have a bolster handy, you can bring it close to the mat or use a blanket. Bolster may be high for some of us. So a couple of options, either use a rolled blanket or a bolster. And we're gonna come to our backs with the bolster or the blanket underneath our rib cage. And allowing our shoulder blades to come off the bolster or the blanket. So I'm using the bolster, it is pretty high. Option to use blanket, roll blanket, and it comes just under the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades meet the mat. And we're gonna stay here for a couple minutes and then we're gonna shift the blanket up. So we're taking a couple of phases on this
chest opener, heart opener here. And our arms are long at the sides in a T, or you can bring them to cactus. If you'd like to bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet together in butterfly, that's an option. But if it's pinchy or pulling in the low back, then be fair to your low back. Just observe. I'm going to hold here for a few moments, noticing that lift in the heart space towards the sky. Closing our eyes and bringing our mind's eye to that heart space. Feeling the breath lift and soften. Lift and soften. And as we're holding, checking in with the face, soften around the jaw, soften around the eyes. You can envision the color green around the heart, if you like, color of the heart chakra. Patience coming from that heart space. And now drawing those arms close to the body and pushing up enough to shift that blanket or bolster. I'm going to move back to the bolster now. And this time allowing it to come right under the shoulder blades for supportive fish. And you may want a blanket or pillow under the head. So here we're opening up through the chest and through the neck. So I often use blocks for supported fish, but we're going to use the bolster today or your blanket. And allowing the arms to come out at a T. If you're using the bolster, it's quite challenging to try to bring your arms into cactus here, so it's more natural to have them at a T. So we don't have the bolster or blanket under the ribs now, it's right under the shoulders and allowing that opening to come all the way through the neck. And this is opening the neck, the throat chakra as well. This isn't a very natural feeling posture, right? It feels a little awkward to have our head back and opening through the neck. And of course, if you have any cervical spine issues, any neck issues, then bring your head up to be more in line with your chest here and give it some lift in pillows. But otherwise, if it's comfortable, allow this opening, this stretch in the front of the neck. Extending down into the chest. And if you'd like to focus on the throat chakra, and the color of the throat chakra is blue. We're still opening the chest as well, so maybe you bring your mind's eye to both spaces, the heart and the neck. And knowing that we're not here for too long,
about halfway through. Couple more rounds of breath here. Nice. On your next inhale, follow your breath from your nose, inhaling all the way down through your throat, into your chest, your ribs, your belly. Nice and full. Exhale. And to shift out of this posture, rather than lifting your head, roll off to one side. Just roll over to one side. It's a little softer on the neck. And shift the props out of the way. And then come back onto your backs. And let's just notice with legs extended, arms soft at the side, like Shavasana, how your spine is feeling here after that big opening in the front of the body. And now bend one knee into the chest and then the other, hugging both knees into the chest. Nice tight squeeze into the body. And we have arrived at lower back love time. So hugging those knees and a very, very slow, gentle rocking on the low back, massaging the low back. Very interesting, my shirt has a little knot in the back, a tie, and it's quite nice in this pose because it's serving as almost like one of those little compression balls as I'm rolling on my low back. I can feel it offering a little extra compression down there, like one of those massage balls. And as you're rolling left to right, picking up on any areas that you maybe want to stop and hold for a breath or two. And maybe pulse in on that area, little pulsing of the knees towards the chest or back and forth on those areas. And then go for another little exploration. Very interesting. It's always usually one spot for me on my right low back, and today it's my left. So very different. Our bodies really are so different day to day. And then when you're feeling fairly satisfied, we're going to move into a twist before Shavasana. So you can roll out a little bit more. And then when you're ready, bring your arms out to a T, palms facing down. And begin to shift your hips up and over to the left a little bit, allowing those knees to come down to the right. And maybe reaching for a block or pillow to support the knees. We don't have to come into our biggest twist here, whatever is feeling supportive to us today. And right now your arms may be at shoulder height in a T, option to bring them to cactus.
Option to turn and look out over that left arm. And sink into your twist here for a couple of minutes. Noticing the breath in this twist from the rib cage. Perhaps on the left side, you're feeling that breath more in the left rib cage. See if you can also notice the breath in the low belly, the low back. About 30 seconds left in the twist. Really enjoy this shape that you're in. So beneficial for the spine, so beneficial for the organs. Smile and enjoy. Forget to smile in yoga sometimes, right? And beginning to unwind, filling up with breath. And let's first lift that left knee off the right. You can even use your right hand for support and allowing that knee to carry you back over center, followed by the right. Hugging the knees in again. And then bringing the arms out to a T and shifting the hips over to the right slightly and allowing the knees to come down to the left. Finding your props if you're using them. And once you arrive, maybe lifting and replanting the left shoulder to open up the chest. Arms either at a T or in cactus, and option to look out over the right arm if it feels good on your neck. Noticing how this side feels. You may have more space on one side. Feeling the breath in the right rib cage. Being with the breath. We have about 30 seconds left on this side. on your next inhale, feeling and tracing that breath in through the nose, down into the chest, into the belly, and exhale. And now lifting that right knee up, maybe using your left hand for support to help roll back onto our backs. And let's take a brief happy baby here while our knees are bent and we're in position, bending those knees towards the armpits and taking a hold of the outside of the feet or the inside, or even hooking your 2 fingers around your big toes, allowing those hips to sink down, feeling some stress and opening through the inner groin. Gentle rock back and forth, feeling the low back sink down into the mat. And then when you're ready, we'll set up for Shavasana, getting any layers, any blankets that you might want. And then extending one leg long on the mat and the other. Taking a moment just to arrive back on the mat with legs and arms extended after the twist and happy baby. First allowing some shift of energy. You may again feel some sort of tingly sensations along the spine and around the hips. Just allow that to dissipate. And then bring your awareness to your fingertips. Noticing that when we bring our awareness to our fingertips, we can feel this slight pulse of energy around the hands and fingers. Allowing that connection with our body to help deepen our practice moving into Shavasana, allowing us to sink and be held by the mat as we have our awareness on our fingers, letting them be very soft. Arms heavy into the mat now, legs heavy, sacrum heavy, widening on the mat, skull and shoulders heavy. And knowing that this pose is so important, it's like digesting after our meal again. So enjoy Shavasana now. I'm going to play some music for Shavasana as you really sink in and enjoy. Staying in Shavasana here for just a moment, keeping with that notion of patience, not rushing out of Shavasana. Patience is not the ability to wait. Patience is to be calm no matter what happens. Staying in Shavasana, just allowing your breath to deepen. Noticing how you're feeling in this space, in this moment, and taking this brief moment to really enjoy that. This energy that you've carved out, created for yourself today. Just enjoy this for one more moment before we go on with our day. And then beginning to move around, shifting your hips, maybe turning your head, rolling around your feet and your wrists. And then with a deeper breath, maybe stretching your arms overhead, stretching your legs long in a big body stretch. And then on your exhale, rolling off onto your left side, the inside of our bodies. In fetal position, resting your head on your left arm. And then slowly, maybe with your eyes closed today, pushing up with your body, pushing into that right hand to push up into a soft seat. And once again, noticing your posture as you come up into seated, seeing if we can stack our head over heart, heart over pelvis, ears over our shoulders. Bring our hands together in prayer, Anjali Mudra, in front of our heart space. And bringing this notion of patience with us as we move into our day and our week. Thank you for joining today's class, being with each other in community, and for allowing me to lead you today. Blessings. Namaste.